Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today is November 20th, and as you can tell, I am so ready for the holidays. Today I'm going to create a dark green smoky eye for you, perfect for a Thanksgiving look or a Christmas holiday look. Of course, we have Thanksgiving in a couple of days, so I was just feeling a little inspired by the holiday colors. So I've already moisturized. I'm clearly just priming the skin here. I'm using the NYX Honey Do Me Up oil and just patting that in my skin. This has honey in it, gold flakes, and collagen. The claims are that the honey is a natural antiseptic for the skin. The gold flakes apparently increase skin radiance, and the collagen for smoother skin. As you can see here, I am starting to apply the Wet n Wild Photo Focus foundation. It is a drugstore foundation, super cheap. I am using a couple of shades since I am in between them both. I'm using the shade Golden Beige and then a little bit of the darker shade Desert Beige, and I'm just applying them both. The sponge I'm using is the Real Technique sponge. If you're wondering why it's a little bit larger, it's because it is the body sponge, and I've been using it a lot lately, and I love it because it's so much bigger and it kind of just gets the job done a lot quicker. Now I'm just going to fill my brows in using the Precisely My Brow Pencil by Benefit. I am in the shade 4. I often go back and forth between my brow pencil, and I love to use the Anastasia brow dips. I love those so much. Just depends on kind of what look I'm going for. The brow pencil is super quick and easy, so I did pull this out today. Next, I'm just going to conceal using the tried and true Tarte Shape Tape, of course. And I'm going to go in between the shades Light Sand, which is what I'm using now, and then the shade Light Neutral, and blend those together. Now that we have concealed, especially the under eye, I'm going to go in with my Kat Von D setting powder, and I'm going to take my Beauty Blender and I'm going to press that right in under the eye just to be sure that I am crease free. I do get pretty oily, so I'm also going to set my T-zone, my nose, and the pores around my nose, as well as my eyelids. The eyelids more so just to prevent creasing before applying my shadow. Now I'm going to take my Morphe E41 brush and just take a little bit of that leftover loose powder and just pat it all over the face, just so when I go ahead and set with my foundation powder that it is an even all over application and there's no splotchiness. Now that I've allowed the powder to set for a few seconds, I'm going to go ahead and dust that away just so I can get ready to set my face with my foundation powder. Since we are using some drugstore products, I figured I would use one of my favorite foundation powders. This is the Maybelline Super Stay Better Skin Transforming Powder. This is in the shade 30, otherwise warm nude. And like I said, it is one of my absolute favorite foundation setting powders. It's so soft and it applies to the skin so nice. I do have, unfortunately, textured skin, and I have always had such good luck with this powder. Now I'm going to go ahead and take some of the Makeup Revolution Luxury Baking Powder in the shade Banana, and I'm going to apply that to carve out my cheekbones and my jawline. And I'm going to leave the banana powder there a while just so it sets and bakes into my skin so it creates that perfect contoured look. And again, I use this in the shade Banana. It's kind of a yellowy tone, so it's not too stark white. Now I'm going in with Marc Jacobs Tantastic to carve out my cheekbones and start shaping my face. This is a little bit more cool tone bronzer, so sometimes I start with this. I usually go in with this as well as Hoola by Benefit. You'll see me grab that, and then just to apply more of a warmed up tone, I'll go in next with the Too Faced Chocolate Soleil bronzer, since it is a little bit more chocolatey and a little bit more warmer, just to bring that warmth back into the face after I carve it out. The brush I'm using to carve out my cheekbones is the Morphe R10. This is one of my favorite brushes to sculpt with. It's more dome shaped and it's smaller and it just fits right into those areas. And next I will be switching brushes when I go ahead and warm up the face. Here's the switch. This is the Morphe R2. Same similar shaped brush, it's just much bigger. A lot more bristles. It covers a lot more surface area, so it's okay to brush it all over and warm up the skin. You've already used the more precise brush to contour with and sculpt with, so this kind of just goes over it and diffuses the lines a bit, and I love it. Next, I'm going to be contouring my nose. I'm using the Sephora dual-ended shadow brush. This is the brush 205. I'm using, obviously, the flat shader end. Seems to be a really good size for me and my nose just to get into those areas. And I like that it's not too dense, so it doesn't leave a lot of color. You do want to go in always when you're contouring your nose with a cooler tone shade. So here I'm using Hoola. You definitely don't want to apply a lot of warm tones on your nose. This is again for more, you're trying to create an illusion and cast a shadow, sculpt your face. So that is the brush I'm using. Here I'm just dipping into the Hello Flawless powder by Benefit. I'm using this in the shade Ivory, and I do like to place this under my eyes, kind of where your dark circles would be, and I do love using this as a brightening powder. I'm just going to dip back into the foundation powder, and I'm going to use that to wipe away the excess banana powder that's been setting on my face. Now I'm just taking that foundation powder, going back over the highlighted areas of my face and just making sure those pop. And now I'm just making sure everything's connected here with the bronzer, especially right there by your ears. Now it's time for everyone's favorite part, highlighter. Woo! This is the Anastasia Beverly Hills X Amarizi collab. This is literally one of my all-time favorite highlighters. It is poppin'. I love putting it on. It's the most beautiful gold shade, but it's not too gold. It's definitely got a lot of silvery reflex in it, so it really suits most skin tones. And I'm applying this with the Morphe 510. This is one of my all-time favorite highlighter application brushes. Now I'm just switching brushes to a smaller, more precise brush just to apply that highlighter down the bridge of the nose to get that perfect snatched look. You don't want to go down too far with the highlight, and you do want to apply just the perfect dab on the tip of the nose so it's like a perfect little ball. And then I will apply some highlighter on my cupid's bow as well as the inner corners of my eyes and my brow bone. And as you saw on my face, I do like to apply some on my cheekbones as well as a strobe a little bit on the forehead and a little bit on my chin. I also went ahead and applied a little bit of blush on my cheeks. The camera unfortunately cut out for that clip, but I did use the Flower Beauty blush in the shade Peach Primrose. Now I'm dipping into one of my all-time favorite palettes, the Morphe 39A Dare to Create. I'm so sad that they stopped producing this palette. It was, I believe, a seasonal palette, and I'm not sure if they're ever going to come back out with it. They have never mentioned anything about it, so sometimes I try not to use it as much so I can save it forever. But I am dipping into two of the transition shades there in the middle of the row, the biggest pans, as you can see, and I am using a combination of the shades Canvas and Define Me. The brush I'm using to apply the transition shade with is the Morphe R38 brush. Now I'm going to switch brushes to the Morphe M441. Both very similar brushes. Anything similar to these will do. Now I'm dipping into the color Fickle, and I'm going to also apply that all over the lid. The transition shade I did apply slightly above my crease, because I do sort of have a slight hooded eye, and I do want to be able to see that transition shade so it doesn't get lost in all the green, since this will end up being a very dark eye. So if you have similar eyelids to mine, just apply your transition shade a bit higher than the crease just to be sure that you don't lose it. And then when you go in now with the next few green shades, you're going to apply that directly into the crease. The last shade we're going to pack all over the lid. Using that same M441 brush, we're now going to go into a slightly deeper green shade, 2 shades over in the color Pine. Now we are going to switch over into the Jaclyn Hill palette, the collab with Morphe, and we're going to dip into our final green shade in the bottom row, 4th color in, and it's called Enchanted. Now using any flat shader or packer brush, go ahead and pack that green shade all over the lid, not going above your crease. Just make sure that it is an even looking coverage. It is a very pigmented shade if you happen to dip into this shade. And sometimes when they're really dark and really pigmented, they can look a little splotchy, so just take your time. This happens to be an IT Cosmetics brush. It's not numbered, but like I said, any packer flat shader brush will do. Using that same brush, I'm just dragging that same color Enchanted down across my lower lash line. I went ahead and applied on some lashes. These are the Kiss lashes in the style Beehive. They are actually pretty, I don't know, they're not very full. They're pretty long, but when you do look at me straight ahead, they're not giving me all that thickness and volume that I really had hoped for this look. So going forward, I would probably prefer to use something more of a mink texture, or like a Miami by Lily Lashes, something a little bit more fuller because the look is so dramatic. But, you know, just pick a lash to your liking or no lash. Now I'm just going ahead and applying some mascara. I did start off with the Maybelline Colossal mascara, but it was a little bit dry. Do need to get more of that, so I did go ahead and switch to another mascara that I had nearby. This is the Tarte Lights Camera Lashes. This is definitely one of my all-time favorite mascaras ever because I'm obsessed with the formula. It's very moussey. It's not too liquidy or anything like that, and it really does make a difference with my lashes. I have the worst natural lashes. They're very straight and I absolutely hate them, but this actually does give them a little bit of volume. Now I'm just going back in with that highlighter and just touching everything up. Now grabbing that original R38 that has the leftover transition shade on it, I just went ahead and ran that through my crease again to blend everything nicely. I am now going in with the Dose of Colors Lippy. This is the shade Knock on Wood. I figured I'd do something a little bit more nudie since the eye is pretty bold. I just wanted the attention to be on the eye. So I think this ended up working out perfectly. Now I'm going to go ahead and finish this look up with some Morphe setting spray. I'm going to spray that all over my face and let it dry for a second. It is such an awesome setting spray, and I do not go out the door without setting spray on my face. It just melts everything together so perfectly. And that's it. So I hope you love this look. I hope it gave you some inspiration for the upcoming holidays. And I would really appreciate it if you thumbs up this video if you enjoyed watching. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell to get notified of any of my videos that I post. Thanks so much for watching.